Welcome everyone, this is Pilot News and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at Lasers and LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Cinders.
Hello!
Hello Cinders, welcome back.
Happy to be here.
Thank you. And this week we have another Bulwer beta. That's beta number 3 for update 36. And it is expected to be the final beta for update 36. So I'm not going to go too much over what's in here because we are going to be going through the bulk of the release notes over it. But they do have a title for the next update. It's going to be The Song of Winds and Waves. Or Waves and Wind. I always get those two messed up on the direction in there. And it is very definitely sounds like it's going to be a new storyline. Actually, it might not be the name of the release. I think it might be Gondor Renewed or something like that. But that's going to be the name of the new storyline that they're beginning. Because we finished up the Legacy of Durin and we finished up the Black Book of Mordor. So the next few updates are all going to be part of this Song of Waves and Wind, where we are going to eventually wind up in Umbar and run into Corsairs, I presume.
I guess that would make sense.
Yep. So I'm sure there'll be all sorts of nautical things in there. Of course, the big thing in there will be the opening of the King's Gondor, where we'll be going down to Linhir and Peligir in daylight.
That would be so nice.
It's so nice to see those with actual light instead of in that perpetual darkness it was the last time we went through there. So let's see what changes that they have in here. It looks like that the Captain Skill Defensive Strike is now properly affected by the Tracery single target attack damage. I presume the captains would be happy about that. And quests and instances, Sagrath, the sewer water debuff that can be applied to players during the Gavardak encounter now carries a resistance type of disease instead of corruption.
That does seem more fitting
Yes.
for sewer water.
Yes. That means I guess we could use a disease pot in order to get rid of it then. And Tier 4 of Grothanaz will be made available soon after the update. And rewards that drop from delvings have been updated with new delving-specific icons. And whatever that's supposed to mean, I guess we'll find that out when the release is made. And also, the Homestead Steed can now be used within Zirag-Zegal as well as Karas Galadhran and other appropriate areas in Lothlorien. And also a few things on PvP. New potions of Bravery and Essence are now correctly usable by the free peoples. No issue, the power potions are currently all giving the same amount of power. I hope they have that fixed before the release because, as I said, I'm reading the beta number 3 notes in here. And one of the things they noted here is they were testing something called Siege Mode for PvP in the earlier betas in here, and they have decided that Siege Mode is going to need a little bit more cooking. So Siege Mode has been postponed and it's been pulled out of the plans for Update 36.
I'm glad they decided to pull it if it wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I think that was a good call.
Now, of course, that's just a small bit of it. We've read over the 2 previous weeks the items that were done in the first 2 betas. So we will go over all the release notes next time. Though, yeah, I don't think that there's so many of them that that I would have to skip an ample part because I know there have been some where just so many updates. I said, okay, look, we don't need to go through these all again, but we'll go through at least the bulk of the updates for next week when it's actually released and all ready and see what the final rev of what they are doing. And they are currently expecting to release Update 36 on May 31st. So that will be next Wednesday. They're also planning another update, 36. I don't know whether it's 36.1 or 36.0.1 the following week. And what they're planning on the following week is two things in that update that I know of. One is the inevitable bugs that they find in Update 36 right after they release it. They're obviously going to get to any of those that they're able to correct within a week. And the other thing that's going to be in there would be the Summer Festival, since the Summer Festival will be starting probably on the week after that. Yes, it's game time for the Midsummer Festival. And that's pretty much it what we have in the news, but I thought I'd have take a little look over how they're fitting with their timeline that they had put out at the beginning of the year. I
Okay.
don't know if you I don't know if you followed that when they released that timeline.
I don't actually even know how to find it, but that would be a good thing to know how to find.
Right? But anyway, the for spring second quarter, they said they will have the 16th anniversary, which we've had already.
Hmm.
That there will be landscape updates, and the landscape updates that are going to be in Update 36, they're going to have, first of all, they're having the updated version of Gondor, which is, I guess, qualifies as a landscape update, and they're adding the landscape difficulty in that update.
Okay.
So, so we'll be getting what really qualifies for landscape updates next week. Continued class updates. There are a number of class updates for this release, but not nearly as much as there were in the previous update, where they updated the wardens and the captains heavily. So this particular update only has some slight tweaking with various classes.
Okay.
So not much in there, but they're doing class updates all year round. So I think that they're going to have more class updates in the summer update when that comes around, where we'll have probably some heavier class updates. They say continued craft updates. They are really behind on their crafting updates that they were originally planning. That sort of got bogged down, I think, on technical issues or something like that, because we still haven't seen any significant crafting updates yet. I think they've been doing some stuff behind the scenes, but not to anything that's visible to the users.
Okay.
See, ongoing monster play updates. Yes, this update had several things to monster play in here. Let's see what we got here. We've got, I think half the notes relate to PvP. Well, okay, well, at least a third of them. Somewhere between a third and a half of the update of the patch notes relate to PvP in one way or the other. So yes, they're still doing tweakings on there. They're planning, I think, on getting the siege mode out, but as I said, that's being postponed because it needs work. And they're talking about, and of course, they mentioned the Midsummer Festival, which is going to be in a couple of weeks. So it looks like they're semi on track. I would say that the only thing that they're really behind on are the crafting updates.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was wondering what are they wanting to do in Update 37? I know. So they're only getting ready game to do their Update 36. Where are they planning on 37? It looks like they're having another further adventures in Update 37. I was wondering, would make a guess on who they might want to have a further adventures with? Because so far we've had Bilbo and we had Eladon and Elro here.
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. Um.
I, I mean, are they going to try it in Rivendell again? Because I know the first two are based in Rivendell, so I'm wondering, okay, who in Rivendell could get another further adventures?
I don't know. I say I'd kind of like to find out what happens to Merry and Pippin because I know that you have the Scourge of the Shire afterwards, but I'd like
Yeah,
to
yeah,
see where their stories go. You know?
yeah. I think so far the timelines on the further adventures have always been within the time in which the character is at Rivendell. Now, of course, they may change this completely. So I think the Scouring of the Shire, if they ever do a further adventures with that, it'll probably be
Way
a few
off.
years. You're way off, yes.
Yeah. Uh, um, but having seen that they're doing the Kingdom of Gondor one, where
Yeah,
it's Minas Tirith area is supposed to be nicer,
yeah.
um, it would be kind of cool to see something like with Merry and Pippin before they go back to the Shire, even.
Ah, before they go
Right?
back to the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they could do that.
And
It's
I think,
something they could do. And
I mean, there's some potential there.
yeah,
You
there is
know?
some potential there. Actually, that might act. Yeah, that could actually work. The further adventures of Merry and Pippin within Gondor. Hmm. That's a thought on there. So one possibility I was wondering is whether or not it could possibly be instead of a member of the Fellowship or Elrond's house, that it could instead be a. I was thinking maybe it was Jajax, but then I thought, wait a minute, Update 38 is probably going to be all about Jajax.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to have a further adventures with Jajax. While up, I'm thinking that Update 38 is going to be very very heavy with Jajax in it. So I don't think he'd qualify for further adventures at this time. How
Right?
about the further adventures of Nona?
Ooh. That could be good.
Oh yeah, that sounds like it'd be really because I'm hearing some people complain that we have no idea what happened to Nona or anything like that, and finding out what happened. The biggest challenge with Nona is, of course, is that you have this uncertain state of whether or not Horn survived or not. So that could make it difficult to do a further adventures with her.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the biggest problem in bringing Nona back or anything like that is how do you handle the case? Because there's half a chance that, I mean, depending on the characters, they don't want to make two different versions that are completely mutually exclusive with each other. You know, there was one where Horn is present and another one where Horn is dead. Uh,
Yeah.
well, I guess we'll have to see about that at some point. They're also doing, okay, more class updates on there. And now they say delving updates here. I'm wondering what could get delvings next? Because in the update that's coming next week, they are putting them into Annuminus and the Great Barrow.
So they're putting them in there. Where are they at currently?
Currently, they're at the school, the library, and the instances in Cardolan,
Okay.
and or I mean the missions that are in Cardolan and Swanfleet. Those are the current ones that have the delving system in there. But I've heard that you're a little bit squishy on your character right now, and squishy and delvings don't mix very well.
No, especially not when you're a guardian. Like,
Yeah,
M's not supposed to be squishy. That's my big complaint. M's too
yeah.
squishy, and I don't have the time to put in the work to get her to be not squishy at this point. So
Okay.
maybe that'll be on my summer break agenda.
Oh yes, your summer break agenda. That's when does school finally let out for you?
We are out June 16th because we
Ooh,
actually got approval to use wipe off some of our snow days.
oh,
So,
you had a lot of snow days this year.
yes, we did.
Ooh. Very well. Anyway, so those are some of the things that seem to be for summer. So right now, it's hard to say what all is coming up on that matter. But in the fall, we do get a new class. So
Ooh, Thinking Fox in the Shire. That's what Sam thinks is going to be for their adventures.
thinking Fox in the Shire. Ooh, interesting thought. But that will require session play almost, wouldn't it?
Probably. But
Yeah,
have they done anything with the chickens?
not for further adventures. So they did have well, they had that April 1st thing with chickens, but that was just an April Fool's thing. And that was where you could play a chicken in the moors,
Yeah. Because I
which of
could see
course,
them maybe doing something with the chickens too, just to give um, kind of an extension to that
yeah,
for the
but
people who
that
enjoy
is,
it.
I think that could be just new chicken play items. I don't think that's
Yeah.
a thing because the
You say
further
it wouldn't be
adventures
further
is
adventures,
you.
but
Yeah, yes. Usually, the further weapons things are implemented as missions
okay.
that you can do with the named NPC with the title NPC. So you're
Okay.
going on this adventure with them. So if it were chickens, it wouldn't be chicken play. It would be you with the chickens, and that just doesn't quite
That
make
doesn't
sense to
quite
me at the
work as
moment.
well.
Yeah, that doesn't work as well.
Yeah.
And we know that some people love chicken play, and some people
Really
put in the
don't.
cat. Yeah, really don't. So they want to avoid a problem with that. Anyway,
Yeah.
that was just some speculation on what might be coming up in the next era. I guess we'll find out in a couple of months down the line, when they start actually seriously looking into it.
Yeah, the other thing that I think would be kind of fun to see, just as like an add-in, even if it's not like a further adventures or anything, the guy and his donkey that show up in random places all over.
Yeah, Floyd and DeWitt.
Yes, doing more Floyd and DeWitt. I think that would be fun in some of
Oh,
the newer areas that they've released.
Floyd and DeWitt in Gondor.
Mm-hmm. I think that'd
Hmm.
be fun.
I still haven't found Floyd and DeWitt in most of the other locations. I think I might have found them in all of the area door locations, but I don't think I've found them in most of the Ravinian locations or whatever is the other location set for Floyd and DeWitt.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never found all of Floyd and DeWitt. It's on my to-do list.
It's on your to do list. All
Yes,
right. Then that seems to be it for game news. So let's go into the store sales. Do you have the list?
I do. So, store sales this week. Prepare for battle and get 25% off stat tomes, regeneration food, run speed boosts, attack damage boosts, now through June 1st. And the weekly coupon for free +5 hope boosts for 90 minutes. The coupon code is Give Hope, GIVEHOPE. And that is also now through June 1st. And that's it for the sales this week.
Hey, it's time for a weekend gaming. And what were you up to?
So I've actually spent most of my time reading and not playing games, which is shocking, I know. However, I recently had a birthday, and for my birthday, Sands gifted me some new games on Steam, and so I spent some time playing Timberborn, which is a city building game, but with beavers instead of humanoid characters. And what I learned is that they need lots and lots of water, and droughts are really not fun. Um,
Uh, yeah, droughts don't sound like they'd be fun for beavers.
no. So the first time I did it, my beavers, I lost many of my beavers to dehydration. Um, and then after that, I have so far managed to control the water a little bit. But with building dams and stuff, you can very easily flood your own city, and then the beavers are really unhappy with you. Um, and then the other game that I've been playing is called Kingdoms Reborn, and I've played a little bit with Sans and then a little bit with Sans and my son. Um, uh, what really stands out from that is that we starved a lot of characters on accident. Um, and my son is sitting next to me. He's saying, except me. I didn't starve my characters." He was giving us characters for our cities where people were just dying left and right. Um,
Uh-huh.
because we were following the guides, right? The little pop
Yeah.
ups, and we ended up not having enough fuel, so people were freezing to death. And because they were freezing to death, they couldn't produce food, and so then they were starving to death, and it was just a massacre. And then when Sans and I were playing, we had similar issues with just the two of us. And I actually at one point was getting citizens from Sans's city. They were coming to my city because her city was starving and freezing. So we restarted it like 3 different times so that Sans could get a location that worked for her. So that our people weren't just dying off from starvation and freezing. So we're getting better. We've made it through a year without killing off of our citizens with starvation or freezing. So we're feeling pretty successful at that one.
Okay.
How was your week, finally?
And I begin with my runekeeper, who finished up the epic story in Minas Tirith. So, meaning is the part of it where you had those two epic battles, which I know I keep on saying that Peligir is the worst epic battle, and I keep on believing that until I run the Minas Tirith ones. Every time I run the Minas Tirith ones, I was like, this is so worse.
Yeah.
Uh, well, I just despise those epic battles. It's like, and yeah, I just went through uh, mm, the displeasure of going through those epic battles once again, finishing that up, and then finishing up the storyline there. So it's time to head off into the Wood of the Roses, I guess, in order to meet up with Rohirrim. And my Crick Hollow Lore Master and gained a legendary weapon.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah, I was trying to come up with a good excuse for going and getting it because I'm trying to do the epic storyline for Volume 1 and finishing that up.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, that doesn't. If you do that all and finish that entire thing without getting a legendary item, then you do all that content because you have some very tough instances in there. I remember one time I actually did do all of Volume 1 without getting my LI.
Ooh.
And I do remember that was a real painful event going through there.
I can believe it.
Yeah. I think that might even be the time where I did the finale. Because I know there was one time where I did the finale for Volume 1 and my shield broke halfway through the boss fight.
Oh, no.
On a warden, that's pretty tough.
Yeah.
It made for some interesting finishing in there.
I was gonna say, that's like half your skills out of use.
Yes.
Oh.
So, so I mean, I'll just have. Well, of course, this time I'm playing a lore master, so I won't have that particular problem. But
Fair.
yeah, but it is a. But it is the question of how far. But I've decided, okay, they just sent me on that quest where you have to go into that location where the ambassadors are, so get Golodier's gear back so that you give him inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided, well, how about I can inspire him further by showing that I have this shiny new legendary item that I got? So, well, maybe new and legendary item is probably a little bit of a contradiction there. But what I mean is to show that, see, there is hope. I now have this great weapon now, and you have your gear back. So now we should be able to go and fight the forces of evil. So I thought, so that was the excuse I had for going over to Moria and getting a legendary item.
Well, that sounds like a good reason.
Yeah. And then on my high level lore master, I joined in with Ploy, where we faced the first two bosses of the new raid.
How did that go? How is your lore master holding up?
Things went reasonably well throughout most of it. I
Okay,
managed. In fact, I think I got through the second boss without ever getting feared, which is
that's impressive.
good. That's better than how my warden was doing. Where my warden, I think I had one, two or three times where I managed to get feared during the whole thing. So I was able to time and get behind the pillars on all the occasions in there. Now, of course, this time I wasn't trying to tank or anything like that, which is probably one reason because I was on the lore master instead of a warden, so I never had tanking duties for it. So that means I wasn't right next to the boss whenever he started going into fear mode.
Fair.
So that did help on the matter. And I did actually have to, quite a few times during the course of the battle, go and top off the energy of of some, so power is more significant now.
Okay.
So I was doing battery duty during the time, so learning how that operates.
Yeah.
And finally, in Ninkum, I learned how to land a helicopter on a boat, which is probably good progress, seeing that the last time I talked about landing a helicopter at all, I was trying to land it in a desert, and I landed instead in the nearby river.
Oh.
So that was last week. So this week's for I was able to land on the boat. You say, why am I landing a helicopter on a boat? And there's an NPC who only visits when it's raining.
I read about him, but I haven't
Yeah,
met him yet.
yeah, because it has to be raining, and you have to have $1 million in the bank
Oh,
or
yeah, that would be why I
dinks.
haven't met him yet.
Yes, okay, yeah, yeah,
No million dinks.
yes. But in any case, you would have. They don't announce that he's visiting. It's not like the other visitors when they're the ones who visit in the tent, where they announce each time when they come and visit.
Uh huh.
Instead, the you if you open up your map, if it's raining, you have $1 million dinks in the bank. Then if you open up your map, you'll see that there is a question mark on the map. And that question mark will be in a watery location. So you need to get to him. He's on a boat, which is why it's a watery location.
Yeah.
So you have to get to his boat. So, I mean, the first time I visited him, the only thing that I had was a rowboat. That was the only means of transport I had that could actually reach him. So I actually rowed. I sort of chose the wrong direction in which to go around the island. So I wound rowing around most of the island in order to reach him in a rowboat. And a rowboat is not the swiftest means of travel in Dinkum.
Yeah.
So I did that. But now that I have a helicopter, I now am able to fly to him instead. I think so. I flew to him, and if you take a helicopter, then your only choice is to land the helicopter on the boat itself. So if you miss by too much, you're going to find yourself in the water instead.
Battling the sharks.
Battling the yeah, that's sort of the problem. Is if he's far, far from the water, and you get your helicopter into the water, I'm not too sure what's going to happen, but I suspect that you're going to have a great deal of trouble getting your helicopter back.
Yeah, probably.
So anyway, so I landed on there. I mean, the other choice is to take a jet ski to him or some other type of boat so that
Yeah.
I could get there instead. But I decided to try the helicopter because that's the fastest means in order to get there. I could fly over land and water, get there very, very quickly, and land there, talk to Jimmy, then come back.
Makes sense.
Right. And I mainly go there in order to sell him stuff. Though I did get a glider from him once, which
Yeah.
is really nice. Because having a means of being able to jump over rivers is nice.
Yeah. Between the crocodiles and the sharks, I have had too many close encounters
Yeah, too many close encounters.
of the unpleasant
Yeah,
kind.
of the unpleasant kind in there. Yes. Now I have a lower level Dinkum world that I created, which I'm doing for videos,
Mm-hmm.
and in that one, the town I'm building is right next to a river. And it's almost a morning ritual now for me to fight off the crocs.
Pine leaf croc fire. Fighter.
Yes, I mean I'm waiting to get that iron spear so that I don't have to fight off these crocs with a copper spear.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And anyway, that was my week in gaming. We currently have 13 supporters on Patreon, and if you'd like to join this illustrious rated players and help support LOTRO players, you can go to the donations page to support the Players Alliance on Patreon. Your money may be used for our podcast hosting, website hosting, and to pay for our live shows. If you'd like to email us, you can send it to podcast@lotroplayers.com. Players Alliance has 2 shows. On Wednesdays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News, so I think we are moving that to Thursday. And on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Loach Players News. You can choose our shows at loachplayers.com/live. And that's all for tonight. And this is Pilot Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.